Now, this is a mentality, okay? This is a mentality. So you got to know my man Tony. It's a mentality. All I know is Gannon better not step foot in Philly or it's his ass. Just saying. Just saying. Oh, by the way, I thought this was pretty cool here. Okay. Gannon's my boy. Rich Gannon? Yeah. Rich Gannon's my boy. Okay. So Lane Johnson came up with the guys who he thinks have been some of the toughest opponents for him to have to block so far in his career. I think it's a pretty interesting list here. Okay? Foles can live rent-free. Oh, I got to bring this up to Garry Cobb, man. By the way, don't forget George Foreman's joining us at 5:30 Eastern. And JAKIB joins us now. Let's bring JAKIB here. Hey, Garry, I got to tell you, man. Jonathan Gannon just bought a $10 million house yesterday.
Is that so? Is that so, huh? Hey, God bless him. What's that?
10.2.
10.2, huh? Hey, congratulations.
I said this, Garry.
Yeah.
You got to love Philly fan, man. They shined him up, put new tires on that clunker, man, sent his ass out there. So let me get this right. He was preparing for the Super Bowl, and his wife is out there all enjoying the Arizona like festivities and not house hunting. And those guys are not doing interviews on getting the – oh, no, but it was all about focusing on the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, that just leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth. I'm telling you, when he comes back through here, I tell you what, he probably needs some security. Now,
hey, my boy Toe just goes like this. He better not step his ass out here in Philly, man, because that's not going to go well.
No, I mean, you can get beat, but if that just leaves a bad taste. That's something that the league has to protect. That, come on, man, handle your business, which is the business. The first thing, it's going to lead to this. But, you don't do that, man, where, and I don't know what his mindset was and everything, but my goodness, it doesn't look good, man. It doesn't look like you went all the way to make sure that you take care of the people who help you get this opportunity. Come on. I mean, that's just a bad feel. And I can tell you that in Philadelphia, that does not go well. I mean, if you lose with an honest effort, okay, we don't like it. But if you don't give an honest effort, I'm sorry. Don't come around here, because that's not going to go well. I'm telling you.
I'm with you, man. That's not an honest effort, man. That's, to me, that's even more to it too, Garry.
Yeah.
It's not an honest effort, man. I mean, people go like this. Well, this shit goes on all the time. I'm like, yeah, it goes on when you're talking about 8 and 9 teams.
That's
not
right.
Super Bowl week against the Chiefs.
Come on, not Super Bowl week. Come on, man. You're supposed to be all focused on that game, man. Come on. You know how hard it is to get there. And see, that's right now where everybody's talking. You know how hard it is to get back. When you're there, you're focused. Come on, you know how bad of a taste. I mean, losing is not, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So to do it like that, I mean, that is a bad stench. I would tell him, if he comes back through here, he needs to wear some makeup and some type of, Dude,
I hear you, man. Gary, I want to lead you here.
Here where everybody can see who you are, man, because that does not play well here in Philadelphia, boy.
I'm gonna play a little game with you here. Who am I? NFC champion coach, hired Jeff Stoutland, drafted Lane Johnson, Nelson Aguilar, Zach Ertz, and had a 26-21 record. Who am I?
Well, you're talking about what's something? But the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars now, right?
Oh, really? No, it's Chip Kelly.
Oh, it's Chip Kelly. Oh, boy. How do you like that, man? That's right.
How about this one, too? Let me ask you this.
Yeah. Chip Kelly, man, boy, that UCLA thing, boy.
How about, like I said, though?
Yeah.
2013 NFC champs.
Yeah.
Hired Stoutland.
True.
Drafted Lane Johnson, Zach Ertz. Aguilar had a great year in 17, helped the Super Bowl team.
That's right. Yes, he did. I saw him at the Super Bowl this year. What's that?
My question to you is, actually, that's right. It's still there's still some remnants from Chip, even in this Super Bowl run here.
Yes.
With some of the people that are still on the roster and in the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
How much of an influence do you think Chip Kelly had on Howie Roseman on being where he is today as a general manager?
Well, I don't think it's so much Chip as it was the fact that, he got booted out. Chip took over, the fact that he was demoted, and I think that that made him go back and take a look at himself. I think it made him, I think it made him tougher. I think he probably evaluated, things he did right, things he did wrong. If I had this opportunity again, what I would do. But I think he's come back. I think he's smarter. I think he looked at the way he put together a team and certain things he did. He made some mistakes, and he admitted it. He made some mistakes because just putting together an all-star team, that's not what it's about. The players have to fit, meaning some of the personalities. You got to consider some of that, and then you got to make sure that you bring in hungry players. You got to have hungry players. So what he does a great job of is, you're not trying to put together an all-star team.
Gary, but let me stop you here and say this to you here on him.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, though, I'm not defending him.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, was it more so his bedside manner? Because, I hear people go like this. Well, he fired Macklin, he got rid of Djax, and he got rid of Shady. Well, get this. 3 years later, you guys won the Super Bowl without those guys. Doug's first year, they were 7-9. At the end of the day, he was fired because he was an asshole, most likely. Not because of anything and how he was, but to me, it was more of his bedside manner and how he dealt with the players. Is that fair?
Are you talking about Chip?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Chip? Yeah, I think that, Chip didn't play
well. They
well.
Didn't need Shady.
Well, yeah, I guess, the way it worked out, you still normally, you don't get rid of good players. these
but they
guys
won, Gary. Gary, they won 2 years later.
Yeah, I give them credit for that. But at the same time, most of the time you're not getting rid of good players, guys who had, outstanding careers after that. They had big time careers after that. So I don't know what his thinking was, why he got rid of them and things, but that's the way I look at it. But the way it worked out, but they had to go out and find additional talent. They didn't necessarily just win with the guys that Chip got. They went out and got other guys. So it wasn't where Chip, the team that Chip put on the field, they didn't outperform those guys, though. The guys he put on the field, they were disappointing. They had a disappointing year. So I can't give Chip that. No, I don't think Chip did a good job because I think he got rid of some of their better players And the guys he brought in did not outperform, you know, Deshaun Jackson and LaShawn McCoy. They didn't outperform those guys.
But they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, after they went out and got different players. Now
It's true. No, Howie. This is why I'm saying.
Yeah, Howie did a great job.
Howie become a better GM after that whole experience?
Yes, I think he did.
Dealing with how Chip dealt with players too.
Yes,
that
I think he
understood
became a better
the
GM.
Players better.
Yeah, I think he's a better GM now. And Howie does a good job with you know, the player relations, you know, and then getting to know players. Plus, I think Howie's best too is Howie doesn't do it. He hires good people, good player evaluators too. And then, you know, you got a guy and you trust him, okay? You get somebody that's good at his job, and you notice they continue to be picking up Howie's guys. You know, they look at the people that Howie's hired, and you see the other organizations grabbing his people, see? So he gets good people, and then he will let them have – he doesn't try to do everything. And see, that's a thing where you got to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And I think Howie's better at that. He knows what he's strong at, but then he'll get somebody else that he feels strong in a certain area, and he will believe him. And so he does a great job of that. So I think he's done a great job where he knows his strengths and his weaknesses. I don't know that he knew that before. But
see,
now
and again, I think that's the influence with this Chip Kelly thing is that
I
you
think
know,
so.
and he totally has a better bedside manner with his players than what Chip did. Chip didn't get how you play defense in the NFL. You can't have 100 guys there. Let me throw this at you here.
That's right.
Who do you think had a better rookie season for the Eagles as a one-year, first-year player, Haason Reddick or A.J. Brown?
Woo!
Now get this on Haason. Haason, I didn't know this until Tone told me yesterday. He led the NFL in third down sacks, and he led the NFL in forced fumbles, and he had 16 sacks.
AJ started out so hot. I mean, he had some big games there. And then, boy, that's really tough to say which one of them had, because they both, you know, were dominant players on their side of the ball.
Oh, absolutely.
So, boy, man, that is really tough to say because it's a tough
I
question.
didn't know Haason had, you know, Gary, you and I could sit there and go, you can't cover, you know, backs and tight ends, but dude, you're first on third down sacks. That's impact plays.
Yes.
Then he had forced fumbles, number one, and he takes the quarterback out in the NFC title game. I mean, and then you look at AJ, 1,300 yards, 11 touchdowns, 90-plus catch. I mean, Jesus criminy. Both these guys were just sensational in their first year with the Eagles.
Yes, that's really hard to say that because both of them were dominant. You know, AJ made his presence felt early, you know. So everybody's trying to take him away. So now these other guys are bashing your brains out. Haason he finished strong, man.
19 and a half sacks counting the playoffs.
He finished strong.
Wow.
So, those guys, man, that is a tough question, which I don't know about making. Man, I'll go with Haason, giving him the nod because he finished so strong, you know, because he closed out the playoffs. He closed out the playoffs for the Eagles. Took them, said, we're going to the Super Bowl. He probably had more to do it than anybody.
Did he surprise you more than AJ?
I
didn't think AJ was this player. I didn't think AJ was his player because if you go back, Gary, and look at his Tennessee stats, they're not overly impressive. Now, maybe they just didn't know how to use it because
they didn't throw the ball. You know, they didn't throw the ball very much. You got to realize, you know that he wasn't the number one weapon in the offense. And so at times, you know, I don't think they could have been more creative. Now, I think it could get worse this year, I mean, from a standpoint that how are you going to stop this guy, like I said, with all these other weapons? And, you know, and he and Devontae, you know, Devontae is a route runner. And you know, he's becoming a better route runner because he's over there around Devontae all the time, because he's got the tools where he's so big and so strong and fast and everything that he doesn't have to run every route, so precise, but he's getting that part of it because he's around Devontae. So I think he's becoming a better route runner. And now you know all the talent he got. And then times I'm standing over there, he walks by, I'm going, no way that dude should be playing wide receiver, man. You're a tight end, man. You're not no wide receiver. How big he is.
Yeah.
He's a big man. And so I expect big things out of him this year. I mean,
Oh no, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. When it comes to breakout years, Devontae, Dallas Goedert, and obviously everyone's going to talk about Jalen Carter, but I'm talking about those two guys that have kind of established themselves. Mm-hmm. Last year, Devontae had a great year, 90-plus catches, 1,100 yards, Goddard. Between those two guys, who do you think has a chance at the better career year?
Well, I think Goddard is going to probably have a better – Goddard got hurt last year.
Yep.
Because Goddard would have been
still at 700 yards.
Yeah, he would have been the Pro Bowl tight end, see?
Yep.
So I think he's probably, if he stays healthy, he's going to have a big year. Do I think Devontae's going to have a better year than he had last year? Probably yard-wise. He probably will. He probably will have more yards. But I don't know if he's going to have as many catches. I don't know if it's going to be 90 catches. But I think both of them are going to have big years because you look at all these weapons, a defense has to say, okay, now we can't double everybody now. They go out, look, such and such, you got to cover this guy. So the defensive coordinator is going to have to go in the game. They're going to tell their guys, look, man, hey, Joey, you got him, man. You got to have a big – you got to cover this guy. We can't give you help all the time. You can't help everybody. So they've got so many weapons, man. Really, and then, all the time, they got that offensive line, aimed at you. It's like a guy pull a gun on you. You got that offensive line aimed at you all the time. So you got to be thinking run. You got to at least respect that threat of the run. And you can't help everybody. Come on. And, when you come out in the defense, you got to be thinking about what are the things that are the priorities. And, of course, people are going to be thinking about the big play. They don't want to give up big plays. Well, then the Eagles are always going to be able to run the ball against people. So it's going to be a year which we're going to see how much improvement they can make. But I think they're going to be a better offense this year.
Let me stop you on that and expand on that. So Brian Westbrook came on this week and basically said that, hey, I want to see this guy running less. We talked about it last week, Gary.
Yes, correct.
Emil talked about saying, I want to run him as much. Do you think the Eagles want to keep that out there as vague as possible and do you think that, again, the one thing that they have the advantage on, kind of like what New England did during the Brady era, they're not going to be one game pass. They're not going to be a centric pass team like you say in Kansas City. They're going to be like the chameleon team. Whatever your personnel has its weakness, if they can't stop the run, we're going to go 250 on you on the run.
Yes.
If your corners – look at New England in the first week. New England has two great edge rushers. They're not bad in the middle. Their linebackers are pretty good. But outside of the kid Gonzalez they just drafted, there's not a guy at 5'10". I don't know. To me, sounds like to me, I'll put A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert in the passing game.
Yep.
And I'll put the ball up in the air against those guys because I don't think your personnel can match up. Do you think it's going to be more that kind of mentality week in and week out?
Yes, that's what it's going to be. I mean, that's what it was last year. And they had success doing that where they go into the game and they look at the area of the defense that they're playing, the weaknesses, and they say, we're going to exploit this. This is not a good matchup for them. We got to, we're much stronger in that area. And still at the same time, they are going to enforce their will to say, we want to run the ball. We will run the ball. I mean, you don't tell us, nobody can tell us we're not running the ball. We will run the ball on you. But most of the time, what they will do is they'll jump out early on you, and then they'll go ahead and let the clock run out by running the ball down your throat. See, that's what they like to do. They like to come out, jump on you. You know, it's like a boxing match. Come out, the guy's hitting you with everything. And then later on, he's going to start giving them body blows, taking your legs away from you. And that's what the Eagles will do. They will come out. They will jump on you immediately, going through the air, get a lead, and then they're going to just run out the time by running the ball down your throat. That's what they like to do.
That's funny you should say that because, again, you know we're getting George Foreman on. George Foreman used to always tell me this. He goes, man, I'm not looking to win rounds. I'm looking to win the fight. Yes. And I'm going to win the fight. Whether you think I won the first 2 rounds or not, I could give a shit about that. I'm trying to win the fight here. One last question for you. Mm-hmm. Do you think Howie, before September, makes one last big move?
I could see
A, B, or C type of move.
I don't think it's going to – I think it's probably going to be a B or a C. It's not going to be A move. It's going to be a B or C because I think right now, what I said earlier, I think they need more on the linebacker position. And I'm talking about insurance, meaning a guy who's played in the NFL, that's a veteran linebacker that we know can step in there and play. Because you got a lot of you're sending young kids out there, and you don't know.
Gary, why don't they prioritize that position?
Well, they don't prioritize it because the game has changed so much. It's not really a running game. You know, people don't. You know, it's not run where a team will just come out and run and run and run. No. People attack you through the air. They got to be able to throw the ball. The teams that win are the teams that throw the ball. You know, like the best quarterbacks. The best quarterbacks are on the teams that win. And so that's why it's not a priority because, you know, nobody comes out and just going to run the ball. You know, nobody's running the ball like Dallas used to do. Nobody does that. The better teams in the league. In fact, let me ask you, who led the league in rushing last year? The running back led the league in rushing last year. Nobody even knows. And you know it wasn't like that. When we were growing up, come on, everybody knew. Who led the league in rushing? You know, you knew.
Who were the big backs in your time, Gary? I mean, you're a 10-plus year guy. I mean, even my brief time, I mean, we had Dickerson and Gerald Riggs who led the NFL in rushing. I mean, there were big-time backs who were just monster. Even the one year after Dickerson, maybe you remember in 87, after the year that Eric left Los Angeles, even Charles White had 1,200 yards. Yes. And he had a marginal NFL career, but he was fabulous at SC. I mean, what happened to that position?
Well, they don't build the offense around the running game. I mean, even though, like, let's say with the Eagles, they have the running game, but they don't feature the running game, meaning like they go to the running game after they built a lead. That's what they try to do because they want to throw the ball because the other teams can score so quickly. So it's the passing game because especially also because of the way they protect the quarterback in the NFL now. Also, of course, you know that if you're a wide receiver, chances are you're going to get a passing interference penalty. If in doubt, they're throwing the flag on the defense. Okay, so it's tougher to stop the passing game now, and you're not able to you cannot maim a wide receiver anymore. You can't do that. So they protect the wide receivers, and they do not have wide receivers getting knocked out like it used to be. You tell the dude, if I catch you over coming across this middle, I'm gonna knock you out, man. You know, guys knew when they're coming over the middle. Man, I know. I don't know how many of them guys were. If they weren't knocked out, they were just about knocked out.
Dude, I'll tell you, man, coming across the middle. Gary, somebody just brought up Gerald Riggs, and I was on the field in Atlanta. Remember the old baseball stadium that they used to play at, Fulton County or whatever the hell that thing was? Yeah. I'm sitting there, Irv Randall, John Randall's brother, and he's playing linebacker. And Jeff Davis, maybe you remember him too, as the linebacker for the Bucks. And we're sitting there in the mud, man. He blows his knee out. He was never the same. And this is a guy that had 200 rushing yards against the Eagles one game. Yes. And, man, I think he led the NFL in rushing the year before.
Yes, he did.
Dude, those guys were horses back in the day, weren't they?
Big guys. I mean, for instance, like the Tennessee Titans, who tried to do it old-fashioned,
Yep.
They haven't been successful with that. You know, where you got a feature back, you're giving them the ball all the time. They haven't been able to get it done that way. And so I clearly this is a different game. You got to be able to throw the football in order to stay up with the best teams in the league. You got to be able to throw the ball effectively. I mean, you got to have, some strike ability where boom, can look up, that's 7. Bam, 7. You got to be able to do that. And if you can't do that, you can't play with those type of offenses.
Can you imagine if Andre Rison and Jerry Rice and all them guys back in the day were in today's game? I mean, You're telling me you couldn't touch them guys going down the sidelines? You ain't catching Andre Rison.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, dude,
you're right.
That guy was a horse, man. You're not catching him. Gary, great catching up with you as always.
All right.
Thank you so much for taking time with me, as you always do, and you always find time.
Hey, and I'll tell you that I've been kind of busy. Like on Friday, we had a big Ron Jaworski thing, and all the Eagles players there. And then on Monday, I had thing up in North Jersey with all the Jets and the Giants. So I got to hear that all that noise up there. That's
dude. So the Jets and the Giants fans must. Oh wait,
well, no, these are players. No, these are players. These are players.
But I gotta tell you, man, the Jets
tournament.
guys are chirping a lot, man, because they think they're Super Bowl contenders now.
Those guys are talking. They think they got something up there. I said, look, hold your horses. Say you guys haven't smelled the playoffs, so you could be smelling something, and it's not the playoffs because you guys haven't smelled the playoffs in so long. You don't know what it smells like.
Hey, Gary, they haven't been Super Bowl contenders since Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. Hey, I'll catch you next week, Gary. Thank you, my
have
friend.
a good one. All right.
You got it. The legendary Garry Cobb, Fox 29. Make sure you check him out always, and please hit the like button. Don't forget George Foreman, 5:30 Eastern. He will jump on with us. Got a brand new movie out. One of the legendary sports personalities of all time is going to step on here on the National Football Show. Hit the like button.